how to create a confidence interval when we want to compare two different proportions. For this one, P1 hat will be my first proportion, P2 hat is my second proportion, N1 is my first sample size, and N2 is my second sample size. So the formula is P1 hat minus P2 hat, plus or minus Z star times the square root of P1 hat times 1 minus P1 hat over N1 plus P2 hat times 1 minus P2 hat over N2. And in this case, this thing that I'm adding and subtracting from both sides, this Z times the square root, this is my margin of error. The value of Z star depends on the confidence level. For a 90%, it's 1.645, 95% is 1.96, and 99% is 2.58. Let's look at an example. A survey was done to look at the proportion of people who get medical advice online. Of 350 men, 168 got medical advice online, and of the 250 women, 155 got medical advice online. And I want to find a 95% confidence interval for the true difference between these proportions. Let's start by looking at our first group. We can see 350 total men, 168 got medical advice online. This tells me that P1 hat is 0.48, or 168 over 350, and N1 is 350. For my second group, I had 250 women and 155 got medical advice online. That tells us that P2 hat is 155 over 250, or 0.62, and N2 is going to be 250. Finally, we want a 95% confidence interval. For a 95% confidence interval, we have that Z star is equal to 1.96. Next up, we need to calculate our margin of error. As a reminder, this is Z star times the square root of P1 hat times 1 minus P1 hat over N1, plus P2 hat times 1 minus P2 hat over N2. Plugging in the values we have for P1 hat, N1, P2 hat, N2, and Z star, and then typing that into a calculator gives us 0.08. Our final step, we need to add and subtract this value from P1 hat minus P2 hat. So we have P1 hat minus P2 hat plus or minus 0.08. Plugging in our values for P1 hat, P2 hat, and then simplifying, we get negative 0.22 and negative 0.06. The fact that both of these are negative tells us the second group is actually higher. More women are seeking medical advice online. And we can see that about 6% to 22% more women are seeking medical advice online.